What's this? Tabletop Island, huh? Let's see what this is all about. Thank you for tuning in at CVQ. Today we have a masterpiece by Gustav Caillebotte called Paris Street Rainy Day. This piece is absolutely gorgeous. Its starting bid's at $500,000, but its retail value's $8 million. And we have this hidden value card, so you won't know exactly what this specific one's gonna be worth. Just look at the detail. It's super immaculate. Oh, it sounds like we're getting a call here.
Hi, I'm taking a look at that painting. It looks amazing. I bid $1 million.
Oh, we got just another one. Actually got boosted in to $2 million.
$2 million? I'll bid $3 million.
Oh, $3 million? Okay. Going once, going twice, and sold.
Oh, awesome.
Let's take a look at what we got for the value. Oof. Forgery.
Are you kidding me?
Man, I'd hate to be that guy. Thank you for calling CVQ. Welcome to Tabletop Island. I'm Bernardo, your host, and today we're going to be taking a look at the vintage board game Masterpiece. This is the 1996 edition. There was also one that came out in the 80s. I'm a big fan of this game, but let's first start with the components. So you have this really nice board. It's really elegant, artistic. You have all these fun characters on the board that are kind of look like they're sitting gathered around for an auction. A bunch of silly faces and this really cute dog. There's a bunch of abilities around the board, but we'll get to that. One of the things I do appreciate about the game is that it plays from 3 to 6 players. And while obviously it doesn't play 2-player, however, I don't have very many games that can play 6. 6 is a very solid number and really nice to have games that can go to this range. And this is probably one of my favorite games that can go this high and is really quick. We're getting ahead of ourselves. And in the game itself, you also have these really nice paintings, which it's really cool to see that the paintings on the back not only say the name of the real painting, because these are indeed real paintings, but also the year it came out. And it's just really nice to get a little bit of history on that. And you also have this plastic easel, which comes in the 90s version, but it doesn't come in the 80s version. So take that, 80s. And you have these player pawn pieces, which are these really standard kind of moving pieces. Nothing exciting about them, but honestly, that doesn't really matter. The only thing I could think to add would be maybe like busts of different characters. That would be kind of cool, but it's not really needed. It's just extra. So the playing pieces don't deter me from the game at all. And then finally, you have a bunch of money. It goes in $500,000 increments. That's the lowest amount. And it kind of moves up from there. We have $1 million, $5 million, and $10 million. And that is kind of what you got to work with, along with a die. And then finally, you have these value cards. There is a sheet here that goes to each player that tells you how many of each value is in the deck. That can be helpful if you're more of a numbers guy and you want to kind of work against probability. And then finally, there are some forgery cards. There are only 2, which I'll talk about that in a minute. But basically, the game goes when you end up landing on a spot that goes into an auction. That's when you take the top painting, you reveal it on the easel, you take a value card face down. They don't get to know what they're bidding on. No one does. So you all go and bid it in $500,000 increments. Going once, going twice, sold. Much like a real auction. I love that. But one of the things to understand on that is the simple fact that you are bidding blindly. You can go in and say 1 million, but again, you can only bid the amount of money that you have. Obviously, you can't bid $1 because $500,000 is the lowest amount you can add to a bid. So there's that to consider also. And again, you could be bidding on something at like 3 million and it could be worth 1 million, which sucks. But you could also be bidding on something for 3 million and it could be worth 7 million, which is awesome return. So that's where that give and take comes. But there can also be a forgery card. Again, there's only 2, but when it has a forgery card attached to it, that means it's not worth anything. So later in the game, when you land on certain spots, they can either, like for example, there's one that says take $3 million from the bank, or take a value card from the bank. Value card allows you to add a value card to an existing painting that you have. That can make it worth more money, but that can also set you up for failure because there are also spots on the board that are like private auctions, which make it so you have to put one of your paintings up for sale. And you don't show, or you don't show the value cards ever because they're only face down for you. So your opponents never know how much they're worth. But if they see one that has 3 value cards attached to it, they're probably going to make you use that. And yes, if you have more than one painting, the player to your left decides which one you put up. And that's where, depending on who wants to join it, not everyone has to, but players can. And they can bid you whatever they want. And they can screw you out of a lot of money. But that's where the strategic element is. And I don't think this is in the 80s version. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the description, but I'm pretty confident it isn't. To where you can add those value cards, because if I see one with 3, I'm probably going to go for it. But you also have to consider, by you adding a third to a forgery one, it doesn't matter how many value cards you add, it's still a forgery. So you can set people up for failure to give you money for paintings and set them up for failure. Now there's still points in the game or spots on the board to where you can still sell paintings for the X amount of dollars that it has on the board, even if it's a forgery. So you can be selling back a forgery to the bank. You're a terrible person. I like that. Now, for forgeries, it only comes with 2. That's really my only gripe. I'm considering looking online to see if I can just buy cards to at least add 2 more. I love the forgery, and I think there's a lot of strategy for it. Sorry, words are hard. Strategy for it, but they don't come up as often. So to be honest with you, if you see something with like 2 or 3, the chances of them having a forgery card are pretty unlikely. And if you have a forgery card, then you have an even higher probability of not getting one again, which kind of sucks, because someone can just have a bunch of value cards that make it like 10 to 20 million or whatever it ends up being, and that can be great. But if someone else steals in a private auction for $500,000, that sucks. You can inherit a painting from the bank, which gives you a free painting with a face down value card, which could be anything. And then you may sell any painting to the bank for the value that you have for it. So there's a lot going for it in terms of spending money and just really being smart about how you spend money in your auction, because the game ends when all the paintings run out. Then you add up the money you have along with the add up of all the value cards you have. And you're probably thinking, Bernardo, why do I care to sell my paintings if I can just get the value of the value card? The point is, if you don't have the physical cash, you can't bid on paintings. So you can't ever go out of your way to get more, which is important because you want to have a lot of paintings, but you also want to have a lot of good value. And you want to have a lot of paintings if you have, let's say, a forgery card, or if you don't, or you have just one that's worth a lot of money, you want to kind of get it mixed and lost between to make it so they have a lower chance of stealing the right one from you if that ever comes up, which it will. So I love that aspect of the game. There's a lot of strategy on how many value cards you add. There's something to be said about it. I know in the 80s version, I believe there's like a clip to where you can kind of keep it all together. But with this one, you wanted them to see how many value cards you have, because you want them to take that forgery painting if that ends up what it is. Or you want that visual representation of, I'm stealing that on my next turn when I land there, if I land there. And one of the things that doesn't say in the instructions, I do it. I'm pretty certain you can, and it doesn't seem like something you need the instructions to tell you to do so, but you can go in any direction, which is super crucial, because if you know that number of spaces get you to a better spot on the board, you're going to want to do that. And while you think, yeah, I could just try to loop those back and forth going each way, that will probably never happen. It's a regular standard dice, and there's a lot of luck to it, but there's so much fun in the auction aspect of the game. I highly recommend this game. I got this game on eBay for about $20. I love the 90s version. The 80s version's great too, I hear, but it doesn't have the plastic easel, and I'm almost 100% confident it also doesn't have the value card you add, which to me is one of the biggest selling points of the game. But that's honestly all I have for you guys today. If you are interested in notifications, there is a bell up there somewhere. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I do appreciate any feedback. I'm trying to make these videos more and more outrageous, and with your guys' help, I have been doing so. Monday, regular board game reviews. Wednesday, weekly update / talks. And on Friday is my vintage board game reviews. That is all I have for you guys today. I'll see you guys next time.